Jade, why are you wearing a jacket? You're indoors. I thought it would make sense for the YouTube video because we're talking about airplanes. So I should look like I have somewhere to be. Do you have somewhere to be? No. Right. So you just want people to get that because you're talking about airplanes, that's why you have a leather jacket on. Yeah. No one is going to get that. I mean, I'll get it, which is like that's what matters. So, hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's tea is airplanes, specifically airports, and how much I hate them. Now, I'm someone who's flown a lot. I had been on a number of flights and plane rides with my mom in my youth. She and I are our only family on her side that are in Canada, so I'd flown a number of times internationally before I was even double digits. And then many years later, I dated a guy whose job took him flying very often, which means he racked up a lot of points, which means we went on a lot of flights ourselves. Um, as a result, I have a number of stories. Most of them are not good. You'd think that after flying as many times as I have, that I would not be terrified of everything about it. But there's just something unnatural about hurtling through space in a little tin can that I just cannot. My body does not like. My body does not is not a fan. Would not recommend. 0 out of 10. Um, we'll get to my flying nerves in a minute. But first, I wanted to talk about some of the times where I have gotten away with some really questionable things being in my carry-on luggage. When I was much younger, my mom and I were flying out to Montreal together. And for those of you who don't know, my mom is Israeli. So she is from Israel. Her parents are from Yemen. So she is very dark in complexion compared to me. And when we were traveling to Montreal, we were just flying from Toronto. So it wasn't even an international flight, but it was shortly after 9/11. So all airports were on like high security, high alert. Everyone's a terrorist. I don't know. Anyways, and so we were trying to get through the part where they like scan your luggage, and the security people decided that what they were looking at was my mom's luggage. And so they started going through all of her bags. They went through her purse, they went through her carry-ons, like they were going through everything. And we were getting really frustrated because they weren't finding whatever it is that they were looking for, that they weren't telling us what it was. Which bedside manner, I don't know, maybe they should teach that in airport security school. Just a suggestion. Anyways, so they're treating my mom like, I don't know, like she's trying to smuggle something. And so we get annoyed and we're like, just show us the x-ray. Like just show us what you're looking for. So they show us the x-ray. It's not even her bag. It's not even her bag. They were looking at my bag and they were trying to find my child scissors. Because at the time, like I said, I was young, but I was also very artsy, and I had chosen duct tape as my medium that year for whatever reason. I don't know. It was like a whole phase. I was making wallets, I was making clothing, I was making all kinds of stuff out of duct tape for reasons. And I wanted to continue my art on the trip, so I brought with me several rolls of duct tape, child scissors, and an X-Acto knife that I lost the cap for. I'm just going to mention again that this was shortly after 9/11. I don't blame the security team for getting a little, getting their feathers ruffled over that kind of X-ray. However, what then proceeded to happen was the security agent going into my bag that had all of those things in it, taking the child scissors, and then sending me on my merry way. Huh. No comment. No comment. Ridiculous. Just ridiculous. I will say, though, my mom is not an innocent party in this. She definitely probably should have told me not to pack those things, especially not in a carry-on. And on the way back through airport security, so on our way from Montreal going back to Toronto, for those of you that don't know this, Israelis are very headstrong, and they're very much, you don't like it? That's your problem. Like, I'm here, this is how I am, you can take it, you can leave it, but this is how it's gonna be. My mom's also a Sagittarius. If you don't know what I'm getting at, basically it's just like a double whammy of personality. And we were going through security, and she decided that it would be a good idea for her to wear this silver belt that had, so it's metal, first of all, so she'd have to take it off. And second, I cannot make this up, they were little metal grenades, like little images of grenades. So not like, they weren't actual grenades, obviously, but they were just like, she was basically wearing a belt of grenades through the airport shortly after 9/11. And this airport security stopped us on the way back, and she was like, what? And they were like, your belt, like, we need to look at it. And she's like, what do you think? It's a freaking belt, like, what do you think, I'm gonna blow up the airport? You don't say that. You don't. Oh, I wish I had a camera. I cannot believe those words escaped my mother of color at a airport shortly after 9/11. I cannot make that up, folks. I cannot make that up. They let us go. They didn't hold us for any reason or whatever. But they definitely gave her a look of like, you cannot. You're like, what do you? Yeah, actually, that is what we think. That's exactly what we think. And they saw that it was just a belt, and they let us go on our way back home. Other things that I have smuggled through security. The aforementioned X and I were traveling one year around Thanksgiving, and we were visiting his family, and his family, for whatever reason, had a spare frozen butterball turkey for us to take home, and we had only brought carry-on luggage, so there wasn't really another option. And I kind of decided for us, I was like, let's see what happens. What's the worst that could go wrong? It might go bad, but like, it's a fucking turkey. Like, what are they can't say anything. Like, I don't see that on the list of items you cannot bring in your carry-on. Frozen turkey is not on that list. I'll have you know. So my luggage goes through the scan, because put it in my bag because it was my idea. The luggage goes through the scan, and the security guard, I can tell immediately when he sees my bag because it just goes from. He waves a friend over. So now there's two security agents there staring at this X-ray, and they both look at me, and I'm just looking at them like, "Yep, yep, it's exactly what you think." And so it comes out of the scanner, and they open it up, and they're talking to me, and they're like, "We're just trying to make sure, but do you have a turkey in here?" Yes, yes, I do. And they just laughed. They just laughed, and they sent me on my way. So, duct tape, open X-Acto knife, and a frozen butterball turkey. Things you can apparently take with you on your carry-on. Post 9/11, so. Not bad. Alright, now earlier I mentioned how much I hate flying. I shouldn't say I hate flying. I hate ascending and I hate descending. Once I'm in the air and we're just like flying through space, it's not the worst. Although turbulence. Turbulence can just go right on straight to hell. Turbulence is literally nightmare fuel. Uh, but it's the ascension and the descension that like are the worst for me. And I get mildly motion sick just as a passenger in a car sometimes. So you can imagine how flying doesn't really sit well with me. I was flying recently from Canada to, well, Toronto to California. I was about to say Canada to California, but that doesn't make sense. That's country to state. Huh? Anyways, so, well, I did just say city to state. Okay, listen. I was flying from Toronto to San Jose. There we go. Y'all got a lot of sands. I'm sorry. I was like, it wasn't San Diego, it wasn't San Andreas. Where did I go? San Francisco? No. So from Toronto to San Jose, and I had a layover in Salt Lake City because cheap. And I didn't really take into account just how nervous I would be flying to begin with, and getting really motion sick, stopping for a while, and then all that motion again. So we get off in Salt Lake City, and I can already kind of tell like I'm not doing so hot. Like I'm not feeling the greatest. I see a what do you guys have? It's like a Jamba Juice, but not. It was like one of those juice places where they like make smoothies and all that kind of fancy stuff. And I have a lot of dietary restrictions. Like an obscene amount of dietary restrictions. And I was looking through the menu and I found something that was like the least offensive of ingredients, and I ordered it and I had it and it was really good, and we were sitting by the gate and I could just feel something was wrong. you know that feeling? You know that feeling like right before you're going to get violently ill and you just know that you need to not be wherever you are at that moment? I had that feeling. And I'd had Dramamine, I'd had Gravol, like all that tummy settling stuff. I thought that was gonna do it. I hadn't even finished. I don't even think I think I just finished my juice smoothie thing. And that was like the only thing in my stomach. And then the gurgles came. So I got up and I started walking because I'm in an airport. I probably shouldn't run, right? Like that looks sketchy. That looks weird. But halfway to the bathroom, I realized if I don't run, I'm gonna throw up in the middle of the airport. So I booked it like a sketchy ass motherfucker all the way, hustling to the bathroom, made it into the stall. Bless the people that work there. I apologize profusely in retro hindsight later times, but I repainted that bathroom stall a delightful color of green. I barely made it into the stall. I covered the walls, and then I managed to get most of the rest into the toilet. Sorry, TMI warning after the fact also. Um it was awful. It was the worst. I felt so terrible. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should tell someone, if I should like clean it up myself. Like I didn't know what to do, and I had just finished like vacating my entire insides. So I was just like, I just need to lay down and die. So I just walked away. I just walked away. I washed my hands and I walked the f out of the bathroom. And then I boarded my flight to San Jose. So long story short, flying in me is not so bueno, not so good. And it hasn't gotten any better. Like those, the number, like I've lost count of the number of times that I've been on an airplane, but for whatever reason, I will never not be nervous. I will never not be nervous. I have a bonus story. Two times my passport has been an issue. The first time I had flown to Cuba with my mom, which was like the first kind of trip that she and I had taken together as adults, kind of in a really long time slash ever. And I said before, my mom is very bold. She's got a very bold personality, and she is a party animal. So almost every night in Cuba, she was up till like 5 in the morning or something like that. And I am a very anxious person. So I would be going to bed at like 11 or 12, like a normal old person, and she would be up till like up and out till like 5. So we're in like a foreign country, and I'm like an anxious person to begin with, so I'd be there worrying about her not sleeping till like 4 in the morning. So I was completely sleep deprived by the time that we were flying back. I had maybe gotten a total of like 7 hours out of the 9 days that we were there. And this does not make for a good travel companion. On the flight back, I had my passport in my hand when I took my seat on the plane. My mom and I ended up with seats separate from each other, but we could still see, like we could still make eye contact or like yell across the aisle, but we weren't sitting together. So I sat down and I was so exhausted. I do not sleep on planes. I do not sleep on trains. I do not sleep anywhere except like couches and my bed, basically. And I passed the out. I do not remember falling asleep. I just remember waking up maybe with like half hour before we were gonna touch the ground, and I couldn't find my passport anymore. It wasn't in my hand, it wasn't on my lap, it wasn't in my bag, it wasn't in the fold in front of me on the chair. It wasn't anywhere, and I was starting to think, oh my god, someone in this plane stole my passport while I was sleeping, because I had it in my hand, and I know that, and I remember that. So there I am, like panicking, freaking out for like the entire time until we touch ground. And then my mom comes up to me after, like once we land, and she sees it under my chair. Bless. I was so worried. I mean, I would have gotten into the country fine, but it just was not a nightmare I was willing to live at that moment. Then we got home, and I somehow managed to lose my phone. and I searched all my bags. I searched my jackets. I searched everything I had. I searched all over. I retraced my steps, everything. Couldn't find it anywhere. It took me going out with a flashlight to see that I had dropped it, I guess, in the middle of the street when I got out of the Uber or the cab that dropped me off. Sleep deprivation, guys. It's no joke. It is no joke. I do not operate on no sleep. That is not a thing that I do. No, no. The other passport story I have is entirely my fault. Not that the other one, well, I mean, not my fault. I passed out and I lost. I mean, shit happens. But this one is entirely my fault. This was also flying from Toronto to San Jose. It's the same trip. So it's also actually why I was so I was additionally nervous. Like, it wasn't just the flight that was freaking me out. It was the fact that my partner told me to check my passport to see if it was expired and to make sure that I had it. And I was like, yeah, I've got it. It's fine. Cue the night before the flight. I checked my passport. It's expired by several months. I can't do anything about that on such short notice. But I do have a Nexus pass, which is like pre-screened border security clearance. So me not knowing really any of the rules about the Nexus card, because I only had it because my ex was flying all the time and he didn't want to wait for me in the lines for plebs. So I had this Nexus card, and I knew that the airline that we were flying with would let me fly if I only had my Nexus card. They didn't need to see my passport. So, operating on this logic, we go to the airport the next day. The people at the check-in counter, no problem. Let me through. Then comes security. Then comes border patrol, security. Yeah, it turns out flying with your Nexus with an invalid or outdated passport is actually in violation of the terms that you agree to when you get one. Because we all read the terms and agreements and stuff that we click when we register for things online, right? Right? So I get to this border security lady, and I had brought my expired passport. I brought my Israeli passport because I'm a dual citizen. I brought like my health card, my birth certificate. I brought every like kind of identification because I was so determined to get on that flight and go to, it was for TwitchCon. I just really wanted to go to TwitchCon, like really badly. And so this lady told me that I can't use my Israeli passport. I'd have to apply for a visa, and that would take 6 months. Expired passport is in violation. But I started to cry. I started to cry because I really wanted to go to TwitchCon, and I was suddenly faced with the possibility of not being able to go to TwitchCon, and I didn't like that. And so I started like welling up, and I could feel myself starting to get really overwhelmed. And so she was like, you know what? It's fine. I'll let you through, but just so you know, on your way back in, they'll probably disable your Nexus. Like, they'll probably take it away. And I was like, oh, blessed, I don't care. I just wanted to go to the country. Let me, please. Thank you. I was so happy. I was so relieved. And then 10 days later, going back to Canada, anxiety all over again, because I know I don't have a valid passport still. I still did not have a valid passport, so I was like, all right, see you later, Nexus. Like, you know, that it was fun. was fun while I had it, but, you know, these things must come to an end eventually, as all good things do, and it's just the natural course of things. And so I'm going through the security checkout line for people who have Nexus, and I walk up with my Nexus card and my like Scantron thing, because they like scan your iris to make sure that you're the person that you say that you are. And I go, and I don't have my glasses on because I had just done the iris scan, and I put all that stuff on the desk, and I'm rummaging through my bags trying to get my glasses out, and I'm saying, oh, just give me a second, I can't see anything, just a second. Canadian border security, oh, there's nothing to see, have a good flight. Oh, well, okay then. Well, all right then. I guess I'll do that. Okay, you have a good one there too, bud. Like they just let me on through. It was unreal. It was unreal. I was so I thought I was relieved at the first border crossing, but coming back into Canada never felt so good. Never felt so good. Oh gosh. Well, hopefully after hearing some of those stories, you can see why I don't really jive with airplanes and airports so much, despite some of it being my fault. Not all of it. Some of it. Okay, more than some. Listen, airplanes are scary and they're unnatural, and I wish that Elon Musk would invent those transport tubes already, because for some reason that feels like a better idea to me. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed some of my stories. If you have any stories from your travels or flying especially, I would love to hear them in the comments down below. I respond to every comment that I get, and I read every single one. So don't be shy. Go down, say hi, and I'll see you there. Have a wonderful one, my friends.